My name is Ella, and my sister stole my fiancé and sent me an invitation to their wedding. Sophia showed up at my door one Saturday morning with that nervous smile I'd known since I was a kid. She had a white envelope in her hands, clutched like it was a bomb. I felt like the ground had fallen away. 3 years into our relationship, 2 years into our engagement, and my own sister was handing me an invitation to watch her marry the man I loved. But what happened at the ceremony when the pastor asked if anyone had objections, no one was prepared to see. Andy and I were always the responsible older child. When Mom cried in the bathroom after fighting with Dad, I was the one who knocked on the door and asked if she was okay. When Sophia, 3 years younger, broke something or got into trouble, I was the one who made excuses or took the blame. She's always been mature for her age, the adults would say, as if it were a compliment. I would smile, proud to be seen as trustworthy. She didn't yet understand that mature for her age often means deprived of childhood. Sophia was the opposite. Spontaneous, charismatic, with that way of making everyone melt with a smile. When she wanted something, all she had to do was pout and Dad would give in. When I wanted something, I had to present logical arguments and promise to be even more responsible. No one questioned this dynamic. It was as if we had been born to play fixed roles. She, the princess who enchanted, I, the assistant who organized behind the scenes. Sophia had a knack for wanting exactly what I had. Not just anything, specifically my stuff. My favorite blue dress as a teenager, she would borrow it to go out with her friends and always return it with some mysterious stain. My high school boyfriend, Tyler, suddenly they were best friends, always needing to talk about personal
Ella.
issues I couldn't
Be
understand.
the understanding big sister, Mom always said when I complained. And I was. I understood. I gave in. I compromised. I thought I was being generous. Now I realize I was being coached. Every time I gave something of mine away without a fight, Sophia learned that my things were negotiable. And I learned that my feelings were less important than keeping the family peace. It was a game I didn't even know I was playing, but one I had been losing for years. I met Marcus at the hospital where I work as an emergency room nurse. It was a Tuesday afternoon when he showed up, visibly nervous, asking about his grandfather who had been admitted. There was something different about his kindness. It wasn't the automatic politeness most people display in hospitals. It was genuine. He spoke to his grandfather as if he were the most important person in the world, held the old man's muddy hand without frowning, laughed at his repeated jokes as if they were the first time he had heard them. "You take very good care of him," he said to me as we passed in the hallway. "Thank you for being patient with his questions." No one had ever thanked me for being patient. It was always something that was expected of me, like breathing. 2 years later, when Marcus proposed to me in the same hallway where we first met, I thought, finally, something that's just mine. He held up a simple but carefully chosen ring and said he wanted to build a life where I didn't have to take care of everyone else, where someone would take care of me too. For the first time, I felt seen, not as the competent nurse or the responsible daughter or the understanding sister, just as Ella. Marcus fit into our family as if he had always belonged there.
Dad
Maybe
loved talking
even
to
better
him about
than I did.
architecture and projects. Mom was delighted when he complimented her dishes and always asked for the recipe. And Sophia glowed when he was around. "How lucky Ella is," Mom heard her friend say. "Marcus is so thoughtful and kind to the whole family." I was proud. I had finally brought something valuable home, something that made everyone happy. Marcus was my first unquestionable success in the eyes of the family. Sophia always made a point of being there when he came over for dinner. There was always some emergency that required his male opinion. problems with the car, doubts about investments, issues related to her work as a digital influencer. "I'm glad Marcus understands these things," she said, batting her eyelashes. "Ella is terrible with technology." I thought it was cute how kind he was to my little sister, patient with her questions, helpful with her problems. It was further proof that I had chosen a good man. I didn't realize that too much kindness is sometimes a symptom of something that prefers not to be named. I started noticing little things, but there was always a logical explanation. Marcus canceling our plans at the last minute to help Sophia with some urgent matters. He would arrive the next morning apologizing, saying she was going through a difficult time and needed support. "You don't mind, do you? You always understand," he said, kissing me on the forehead. And I understood. It was what I did best. Sophia posting photos on social media with him, always with some innocent explanation. "We were just having coffee, Eller. You were working and I needed advice on a project." Or, "Marcus helped me pick out a gift for Dad. He has really good taste." The photos were always casual, spontaneous. Sophia laughing at something he'd said. Marcus smiling in a way that seemed more relaxed than when he was with me. I once commented, "You two are becoming great friends." "She's
Paid
nice,
attention
kind
to
of
the fact that
dramatic,
he knew
but
she was
nice."
dramatic. Where would this intimate knowledge about my sister's personality come from? In the last few weeks before everything fell apart, Marcus was different. Distant, thoughtful, always with his cell phone in his hand. When the phone rang, he would move away from me to answer it. "Work," he said, returning with that worried expression. When I asked him what was wrong, he sighed and ran his hand through his hair. "I'm having a hard time, Ella. Personal stuff, you know? I need some space to think." I respected him, as I always did. I reduced the frequency of my calls, canceled some dates, gave him the space he asked for. I felt I was being the understanding girlfriend he deserved. Our dinners were silent. He picked at his food more than he ate and answered my questions in monosyllables. When I tried to bring up the subject of marriage, he would change the subject. "Do you still want to marry me?" I asked one night, trying to sound casual. He looked at me with a strange expression, somewhere between guilt and relief that I had brought it up. "Of course I do, Ella. It's been a tough time, but it'll pass." I lied to myself that I believed him. Janet, my best friend since college, tried to warn me in a gentle way. "Ella, have you seen Sophia's Instagram pictures lately?" I said during our Sunday lunch. "She and Marcus have been hanging out a lot." She held up her phone. It was true. In the past 2 months, Sophia had posted at least a dozen photos with Marcus, always in different places, coffee shops, parks, art shows, always with genuine smiles and an intimacy that seemed natural. "They're friends, Janet," I said. "Marcus is nice to everyone, Janet looked
and
at me with
Sophia
that
is
familiar
single and needs
expression,
time."
the same one she'd given me in college when I'd defend professors who were clearly persecuting me or bosses who were exploiting me. "Ella, dear, have you ever stopped to count how many times you've gone out alone with your friends' boyfriends?" The question caught me off guard. The answer was obvious: never. Because it's not something committed people do. "It's different," I insisted. "They're like brothers now." Janet shook her head, worried, but didn't press the issue. She knew that when I was determined not to see something, no one could make me see it. Now I understand that she was trying to prepare me for something that was already inevitable. Marcus called a timeout on a rainy Thursday in March. He arrived in my apartment with that serious expression I had learned to fear. "Ella, we need to talk." We sat on the couch, the same one where we'd planned our honeymoon, chosen the wedding menu, decided how many children we wanted to have. Now it felt like a courtroom. "I need some time to think," he said, looking down at his hands. "Before the wedding, I want to make sure I'm doing the right thing, for both of us." My stomach dropped, but I kept my voice steady. How long? I don't know. Maybe a few weeks. Maybe more. Is this about work? Can I help you with anything? He looked up, and for a second, I saw something that looked like panic. No, it's not work. I need to find myself before I get married. You understand, right? I said I understood. I said I loved him and that I would wait as long as it took. I said he could count on me for anything. He kissed me on the forehead, a kiss that felt like goodbye, and said, "You're amazing, Ella. You deserve someone better than me." At the time, I thought it was insecurity, a good man questioning whether he was worthy of a woman he loved. Now I know it was guilt, in that he had already found someone who, in
Someone he
his
also
twisted
thought he
mind, was
deserved more
better
than
than
he
me.
got. Sophia showed up at my door one Saturday morning at 9 o'clock. She never woke up before 11 on the weekends, so something was up. She had that nervous smile I'd known since I was a kid, the same one he'd do when he'd broken something valuable and come to confess. Only now, at 25, the smile seemed more calculated, rehearsed. "Ella, can I come in? I need to talk to you about something important." In his hands, he held a white envelope, one of those expensive stationery envelopes, the kind people use for wedding invitations. My first thought was naive. Maybe it was an invitation to a friend's wedding and she wanted us to go together. Sophia always liked having company at social events. "Sure, come in. Want some coffee?" "No, thank you." She walked in, but stood in the living room holding the envelope as if it were a bomb that might explode at any moment. The silence lasted too long. Sophia took 3 deep breaths before speaking, as if she was gathering her courage for something terrible. "Ella, I know this is going to be hard to understand, but..." That's when I realized the envelope wasn't about some friend. It was about her. "I know this is going to sound crazy," she continued, holding the envelope out toward me, "but it happened, and I couldn't let you find out from someone else." I picked up the envelope with hands that were already starting to shake. It was heavy, the kind of paper that costs a lot. I opened it slowly, as if I knew that after that moment my life would be different. The invitation was elegant. Gold lettering on creamy paper. "Sophia Thompson and Marcus Reed are honored to invite you to celebrate their union in matrimony." I read it once, twice, 3 times. The golden letters seemed to dance in front of me. Sophia Thompson and Marcus Reed. My sister. My fiancé. "Sophia?" My voice sounded strange, like it was coming from far away. "This is a very bad joke." "It's not a joke, Ella." His voice had a defensive tone I hadn't expected. "I know it seems impossible, but we fell in love.
Fell in
It was
love,
stronger than
as
both
if
of us."
love were something that just happened, like rain or thunder, as if they were victims of circumstance, not architects of my destruction. "You fell in love?" I repeated, trying to process the words. "How long ago?" The hesitation before the answer told me everything I needed to know. 3 months. 3 months. While Marcus was asking for space to think about our marriage, he was building a future with my sister. "You always said that true love is rare, Ella, that when you find it, you can't let it go." Sophia spoke as if she were quoting a romantic movie, not describing how she had betrayed her own sister. "Well, I found mine, and he found his. Mine. As if Marcus was an object she had claimed, as if I had never existed in the equation. I tried to fight it, I swear I did, but you can't control your heart, right? And Marcus, he was so confused, so lost, he said he'd never felt anything like that before." Every word was a blade. Marcus had never felt anything like this before. With me, of course, he had felt nothing real. 2 years of a relationship, a marriage proposal, life plans, all discarded because my sister offered something more exciting. "Sophia, do you have any idea what you're saying?" My voice shook for the first time. You're talking about my fiancé, the man I was going to marry in 6 months. Ex-fiancé, she corrected gently. Ella, you can't marry someone who loves someone else. It would be unfair to you too. Unfair to me, as if she was doing me a favor by stealing the man I loved. Besides, you've always been so strong and so independent. You'll get through this. You'll find someone who really loves you. As if Marcus had never truly loved me. As if our 2 years together were a lie she was gently revealing. I felt like the ground had disappeared beneath my feet. My stomach dropped, my vision went blurry, my hands shook so badly that I had to drop the invitation.
Came out calm, controlled, as if it were someone else speaking. Where were you guys? Where did this happen? In several places. Sophia seemed relieved that I was asking practical questions, as if that meant I was accepting of the situation. It started innocently enough. He helped me with problems. We talked a lot. We had a very strong intellectual connection. Marcus and Sophia. He, who read biographies of famous architects, she, who posted photos of breakfast on Instagram. And then one afternoon, we were talking about relationships, about what really matters in life, and it happened. A kiss. We tried to resist after that, but a kiss. As if everything I had built with Marcus could be destroyed by a single kiss with my sister. Did you guys have sex? The question came out raw, unfiltered. Sophia blushed. Ella, that's not... Did you guys have sex? I insisted. Yes. The word fell between us like a stone into a silent lake. I closed my eyes and tried to breathe. Somewhere, in the back of my mind, a small, rational voice was telling me that I should cry, scream, throw Sophia out of the house. But all I felt was a strange emptiness, as if my ability to feel pain had reached its limit and simply shut down. Ella, you have to understand that I never meant for it to be this way. Sophia reached out, trying to touch my arm. I instinctively recoiled. I love you. You're my sister, my best friend. I would never do anything to hurt you on purpose. Best friends. Best friends don't sleep with each other's fiancés. But I can't fight what I feel, and you... She paused, choosing her words carefully. You're so strong. You always have been. You'll get through this. You'll find someone who truly loves you, who deserves you.
The implication was clear. Marcus didn't deserve me because he'd found something better. Or maybe I didn't deserve Marcus because I wasn't enough to keep him interested. And besides, she continued, you wouldn't want to marry someone who doubts you, would you? Marcus was so confused about you two. He said he felt like he was going into the marriage more out of obligation than love. One more blade. Marcus had discussed our relationship with my sister. He had shared intimate doubts with me and the person he was now sleeping with. So you guys talked a lot about me, I managed to say. Sophia had the decency to look embarrassed. He was confused, Ella. He needed to talk to someone. And that someone had to be you? I was there, listening, understanding him in a way that... She trailed off, realizing where this sentence was going. In a way I didn't understand. I finished for her. The silence confirmed everything. Mommy and Daddy already know, Sophia said, changing tack. At first, they were shocked, of course, but we talked a lot, explained how things happened. They understand that sometimes love comes where we least expect it. My parents already knew, and they had chosen her side. They think that in time, you'll forgive us. We're family, Ella. That's more important than anything. Family. The word they always used to make me accept everything. The word that justified me giving up my dresses, my boyfriends, my attention, my space. The word that should now make me accept the loss of my fiancé. Family doesn't do that, I said finally, finding my voice. Family doesn't steal each other's grooms. It wasn't like that, Ella. Nobody stole from anyone. The heart has no owner. The heart has no owner. Another sentence that sounded like it had come out of a cheap romantic movie, as if they were the protagonists of a great love story, not two people who had chosen to betray me in the worst possible way. What about Marcus? He didn't want to
Sophia
come
hesitated.
here and talk to me in person?
He wanted to come, but we thought it best if I talked to you first. You know, sister to sister. Sister to sister. As if that made the betrayal any softer, any more acceptable. Marcus didn't even have the courage to look me in the face after 2 years of relationship. He sent my sister to do the dirty work. I looked down at the invitation on the floor, where it had fallen when my hands shook. The gold letters glinted in the morning light, mocking me. "When is the wedding?" I asked. "In 3 weeks." Sophia seemed surprised at my calmness. "I know it's fast, but we didn't want to wait. When you're sure, right?" 3 weeks. The same amount of time Marcus had asked me to think about the relationship. Now I knew what he was thinking. How to marry my sister without looking like the complete jerk he was. "Do you expect me to go?" The question came out without me thinking. Sophia's face lit up as if I had just given her the best gift in the world. "Of course, Ella. Your presence would mean everything to me. To us. It would show that you understand, that you forgive us." It was at that moment that something changed inside me. It wasn't a dramatic snap or an explosion of anger. It was something more subtle and more dangerous. An icy clarity, a calm I had never felt before. For the first time in my life, I looked at my sister and didn't see the little girl I protected, or the young woman I admired, or even the rival I tried to understand. "He wanted to come, but we thought it best if I talked to you first. You know, sister to sister. Sister to sister. As if that made the betrayal any softer, any more acceptable. Marcus didn't even have the courage to look me in the face after 2 years of relationship. He sent my sister to do the dirty work. I looked down at the invitation on the floor, where it had fallen when my hands shook. The gold letters glinted in the morning light, mocking me. "When is the wedding?" I asked. "In 3 weeks." Sophia seemed surprised at my calmness. "I know it's fast, but we didn't want to wait. When you're sure, right?" 3 weeks. The same amount of time Marcus had asked me to think about the relationship. Now I knew what he was thinking. How to marry my sister without looking like the complete jerk he was. "Do you expect me to go?" The question came out without me thinking. Sophia's face lit up as if I had just given her the best gift in the world. "Of course, Ella. Your presence would mean everything to me. To us. It would show that you understand, that you forgive us." It was at that moment that something changed inside me. It wasn't a dramatic snap or an explosion of anger. It was something more subtle and more dangerous. An icy clarity, a calm I had never felt before. For the first time in my life, I looked at my sister and didn't see the little girl I protected, or the young woman I admired, or even the rival I tried to
Someone
understand.
who could sleep peacefully after destroying another person's life. Someone who could smile while stabbing me in the back.
"Okay, Sophia," I heard my own voice say. "I'll go." Her face lit up in a way that made me question whether she really thought I would be happy for her, or if she knew exactly what she was doing and just didn't care. "Really? Ella, you're amazing. I knew you'd understand. You've always been the most understanding sister in the world." She threw herself into my arms in a hug that smelled of the perfume I had given her for Christmas. I let her hug me, let her feel like she had won once again. My body was there, being hugged, but my mind was already somewhere else, planning. "Will you be my maid of honor?" she asked, pulling back to look me in the eyes. "I know this is weird, but no. I think it's best if I just go as a guest." Of course, of course. I understand perfectly." She didn't understand anything. If she did, she would know that a silent storm was brewing inside me. Can I bring someone?" I asked. "Sure. Who are you thinking of taking?" "I don't know yet. Maybe Janet." Janet, who had tried to warn me. Janet, who would now be my witness to everything I was about to do. Perfect. Janet was always nice. Sophia gathered up her bag, pleased with herself. She had gotten what she came for: my approval, my presence, my surrender. "Ella, thank you for being so you. I love you." I watched her walk out of my apartment for the last time as my sister. When I saw her again, it would be like something completely different. After Sophia left, I called Janet. My voice must have sounded strange because she immediately asked if I was okay. "Janet?" "I need you to tell me everything you know about Sophia and Marcus." There was a long pause on the other end of the line.
Everything.
"Ella, what happened? They're getting married in 3 weeks. And I need to know how long you've known." Janet sighed. "Do you want me to come over?" "No, I want you to talk. Now." And she talked. She told him about the photos she had noticed months before, about the whispered comments between mutual acquaintances, about the way Marcus looked at Sophia when he thought no one was looking. "There's more," Janet said hesitantly. "He speaks. Last week, I saw the two of them leaving a hotel downtown. It was noon on a Tuesday. Sophia was wearing that red dress, the one you said you loved about her. The dress I had bought for her to wear at my wedding as a bridesmaid. They were holding hands, Ella, and laughing. They didn't look like people who were doing something they regretted. They had no regrets. Of course not. Why would they? They had gotten exactly what they wanted." "Why didn't you tell me before?" I asked. "Because I hoped I was wrong. And because I knew you wouldn't believe me until you were ready to believe me." She was right. I would have defended them both, as I always did. I would have found innocent explanations for everything. "Janet, I need one more thing. Whatever you want. I need you to help me find out everything about Sophia's life, especially about her work." Janet arrived 2 hours later with her laptop and a determination I had never seen in her before. We spent the entire afternoon investigating my sister's online life. Sophia had 200,000 followers on Instagram. She sold the image of the perfect life: breakfast in well-made beds, expensive clothes, trips to exotic places. She had partnerships with cosmetics, supplements, and clothing brands. "Look at this," Janet pointed to a series of posts.
She's
I
been
clicked
selling
on the
these
link.
weight loss supplements for
The
3 months.
product promised miraculous weight loss without diet or exercise. The price was outrageous, $200 per bottle. Janet, this looks like coup? That's because it is. We continued investigating. We discovered that the supplements were actually flower capsules sold by a shell company. Sophia was earning a 70% commission on each sale. In the last 3 months, she had sold over 1,000 bottles. She made nearly $150,000 scamming people desperate to lose weight, Janet calculated. But there was more, much more. Counterfeit beauty products, online courses that promised to teach influencer secrets but were just generic videos downloaded from the internet, partnerships with companies that didn't even exist. Ella, Janet looked at me seriously. Your sister isn't just an influencer. She's a criminal. I sat on my couch, all the evidence spread out on the coffee table. Screenshots, links, receipts. All documented, all real. What now? Janet asked. I picked up the wedding invitation, which was still on the floor where it had fallen. Now I'm going to my sister's wedding, I said, smiling for the first time since Sophia had left my apartment. And I'm going to give her a gift she'll never forget. 3 weeks. The same amount of time Marcus had asked to think about our relationship. Ironic how he had used that exact period to plan a new life with my sister. I spent those days being my usual Ella on the surface. I worked at the hospital. I responded to worried messages from family about how she was handling everything. And I smiled when necessary. But inside, I was building something that had never existed before. Janet helped me with the investigation. We uncovered more crimes. Sophia was using other people's photos to sell products, creating fake profiles to give testimonials about treatments she had never had, promising impossible transformations
to destroy her
vulnerable people.
career and maybe even put her in jail, Janet said one afternoon, surrounded by printed documents. I don't want to destroy her, I replied, surprising myself with the calm in my voice. I just want to show her who she really is. The difference was subtle but important. It wasn't about revenge, it was about truth. During those weeks, Marcus tried to get in touch several times. Calls that I didn't answer, messages that I read but didn't respond to. In the last one, he wrote, Ella, please give me a chance to explain. You didn't deserve to find out like this. Finding out like this, as if the problem was the way I was informed, not the fact that I was betrayed. I didn't answer. Silence is sometimes the most eloquent answer. I woke up on the morning of the wedding with a calmness I hadn't felt in years. It wasn't happiness, far from it, but it was something like purpose. I chose a simple navy blue dress, elegant but understated. Nothing that would draw attention. Today wasn't about me being seen. It was about Sophia being revealed. Janet arrived at 10 in the morning, nervous as if she was the one who was going to do what I was about to do. Are you sure about this, Ella? I've never been sure of anything in my life, but I know I can't pretend everything's okay anymore. The church was 20 minutes from my apartment. During the drive, Janet tried to talk about other things, but I was silent, mentally rehearsing what I would say. It wasn't an angry speech. It was something simpler and more devastating. It was the truth. Ella, Janet held my hand as we stopped in front of the church. No matter what happens today, I'm proud of you.
Why? Because for the first time in your life, you're fighting for yourself. The church was exactly as I imagined. Over-the-top decorations, expensive flowers, everything perfect for the photos Sophia would post on social media. The ceremony of her dreams, paid for with money stolen from innocent people. The guests whispered when they saw me. Some looked with pity, others with morbid curiosity. Everyone knew the situation. I was the ex-fiancé who had been dumped by her sister.
"What courage," I heard someone mutter. "I couldn't do it," whispered someone else. I walked with my head held high to the third row, on the bride's family side. Sophia saw me from the altar where she was arranging flowers and smiled. A radiant, relieved smile. I had come. I had accepted. Marcus stood beside the pastor, nervously adjusting his tie. When our eyes met, he paled. He tried a hesitant smile, but I looked away blankly. There was nothing more between us to be said. "Wow, she really came," I heard one cousin whisper to another. "Ella was always very holy. Saint. If they knew what I was about to do, they wouldn't call me a saint." Sophia entered the church at 2 o'clock sharp, radiant in the dress that had cost a fortune, paid for with money stolen from innocent people. It was the same model I had chosen for my wedding and shown her 6 months earlier. "That's beautiful, Ella. You will look perfect in it," she had said at the time. Now she paraded around in it as if it were her own original idea. Marcus looked at her as if he were seeing an angel, the same look he had once given me when he still believed he was in love. Now I understood. Marcus didn't fall in love with people. He fell in love with people's ideas. The pastor began the ceremony with a speech about true love, commitment, and honesty. The words echoed through the church like a
as if she were
cruel
having
joke.
the best day of her life. And maybe she was. She had gotten everything she wanted. The man who was mine, the attention of her entire family, the wedding of her dreams. Marcus seemed nervous, but determined. Every now and then he glanced in my direction, as if he expected me to do something, as if a part of him wanted me to stop it. But he had made his choice. Now he would live with the consequences. "Sophia," Marcus began his vows, "you came into my life when I needed it most. You showed me what it means to truly love without reservations, without fear. No reservations." Interesting choice of words for someone who was engaged to someone else when she fell in love. "I promise to love you, respect you, protect you, and be honest with you for the rest of my life." Honest. He promised honesty after spending 3 months lying to me. Sophia was crying, tears of happiness that glistened under the church lights. When it was her turn, she spoke of fate, of how true love always finds a way. "Marcus, you taught me that sometimes we have to be brave to fight for what we want. I promise to never let anything or anyone come between us. Nothing and no one, not even the sister who raised you when your parents divorced. Not even the person who always gave up everything to see you happy." The pastor smiled, clearly moved by the vows. He didn't know he was celebrating a union built on betrayal and crime. "If anyone has any objection to this union," he said, "following traditional protocol, let him speak now or forever hold his peace." Silence weighed on the church like a stone. Sophia smiled confidently. Marcus breathed a sigh of relief. That's when I got up. "I have an objection." My voice echoed through the church, clear and steady. The silence that followed was Sophia
deafening.
instantly paled. Marcus opened his mouth, but no sound came out. "Ella, what are you doing?" Sophia whispered, loud enough for everyone to hear. I walked down the center aisle, keeping my tone calm and controlled. "I'm doing what I should have done a long time ago, Sophia. I'm telling the truth." The pastor looked lost. "Miss, perhaps it would be best if we spoke in private." "No," I interrupted politely. "This needs to be said here, in front of everyone, especially the people you two have deceived." I took an envelope of documents out of my bag, the same kind of envelope Sophia had brought to my apartment 3 weeks earlier. "Sophia, do you want to tell your future husband and everyone here how you've been making money these past few months?
Or would you rather I tell you about the fake products, the shell companies, the scams against vulnerable people? The silence in the church turned into growing whispers. Sophia tried to laugh, as if I were making up something absurd. Ella, you're upset. That's true, I interrupted, opening the envelope. I have proof that you've sold counterfeit products to over 1,000 people in the last few months. Supplements that were just flour, expired cosmetics that were repackaged, online courses that were just videos downloaded from the internet. I showed the documents to the guests in the first row. Photos, WhatsApp conversations, bank receipts. Everything documented and already sent to the competent authorities. Marcus looked at Sophia as if he were seeing her for the first time. The influencer's perfect mask was cracking in real time. Sophia, is this true? He asked, his voice barely coming out. Marcus, I can explain. It's complicated. You don't understand how the influencer world works. It's simple, really. My sister is a criminal. She made almost $200,000 by scamming desperate people. And she used that money to pay for this wedding. Some stood up in outrage. Others took out their phones to research the products Sophia had promoted. Ella, stop it! Sophia screamed, finally losing her composure. You're ruining my wedding! No, I replied calmly. I'm saving his. I turned to Marcus, who looked in shock. And you, Marcus, do you really think that someone capable of deceiving thousands of people online wouldn't be capable of deceiving you too? He looked at me like he was begging me to stop, but I was just getting started. She didn't steal me from you. She used you to destroy me, and you let her. I took out my phone and showed him a screenshot of Sophia's conversations with her friends, which Janet had obtained through a mutual acquaintance. Read, I ordered. With a shaky voice, Marcus read aloud. I'm finally going to show perfect Ella that I can have what she has too. She always thought she was better than me. Now she'll see who's boss. The silence in the church was absolute. Sophia tried to deny it, but the evidence was there with the date and time. It wasn't love, Marcus. It was competition, and you were just the weapon she used against me. Marcus looked at Sophia with an expression of growing horror. Is this true? Sophia couldn't answer. For the first time in her life, she was speechless. But don't worry, you two deserve each other. A criminal and a coward who didn't even have the courage to end a relationship in person. Ella, you can't do this to me, Sophia cried, her tears now of desperation, not happiness. We're sisters. Sisters don't do what you did. And they definitely don't document cheating on social media as if it were an achievement. A sequence of photos that Sophia had posted during the 3 months of our affair. And each one, she and Marcus seemed more intimate, more comfortable together. A visual timeline of my betrayal. Look at the dates, he told the congregation. She was documenting everything. It wasn't an accident. It was a campaign. Marcus backed away from Sophia as if she were radioactive. Did you plan all this? Marcus, please let me explain. Explain what? That our entire relationship was a lie? The pastor tried to intervene again. Maybe it would be better if we postponed the ceremony. There won't be a ceremony, Marcus said, taking the ring off his finger. I can't marry someone who... He couldn't finish his sentence. He simply dropped the ring on the floor and left the church. Sophia tried to run after him, but tripped over her dress. She fell to her knees at the altar, crying, as the guests whispered and grabbed their bags to leave. It was then that I approached her for the last time. I bent down to Sophia's level, who was still on her knees at the altar. Sophia, he said softly, just for her to hear. You've always wanted everything that was mine. Congratulations. Now you can have it all for yourself. She raised her tear-filled eyes. Ella, please, you're my sister. It was, I corrected. Now you're just a stranger who was once important to me. I stood up and walked toward the exit. Halfway down the hallway, I turned one last time to the remaining congregation. Sorry for the inconvenience. You deserve to know who you were celebrating with. And to Sophia, who was still looking at me from the altar, thank you for teaching me that family is not about those who share the same blood, but those who protect you and value you. You two deserve each other. I walked out of the church with Janet by my side, leaving behind not just a canceled wedding, but a lifetime of being invisible, of giving in, of accepting crumbs of love and respect. The afternoon sun was strong, and for the first time in years, I felt like I could breathe
Through mutual acquaintances, how everything unfolded. The wedding was officially called off. Marcus disappeared from town that same day, leaving only a message for Sophia saying that he needed to reevaluate everything in his life. The story leaked onto social media within hours. Sophia's followers began suing her for fraud. She lost all of her advertising contracts within a week. Her Instagram account was suspended after hundreds of people reported the scams. My parents called me the next day. Mom was crying, saying she knew nothing about Sophia's crimes. Dad was more concerned about the family image than what had happened to me. Ella, don't you think you've gone too far? He asked. No, I replied. I think that was exactly enough. Some family members sided with me. Others said I had been cruel, that I should have resolved it as a family, as if betrayal and crime were domestic matters that should be swept under the rug. I didn't care about anyone's opinion. For the first time in my life, the approval of others was not my priority. Janet threw a small party at her house the following weekend. To celebrate her freedom, she said. It was the best party of my life. 2 years have passed since that day in church. I now live in Portland, Oregon, working in the Pediatric Intensive Care Unit at Oregon Health and Science University. It's hard work, but it fulfills me in ways I never thought possible. I met David 6 months ago. He is a pediatric cardiologist, divorced, and the father of an 8-year-old daughter who adopted me as her second mother. David chooses me every day. He celebrates my victories, protects me from my defeats, and has never, not once, asked me to be smaller than I am to fit into the space he has available. Sophia is still trying to rebuild her online reputation. She created a new profile with few followers where she posts about new beginnings and lessons learned. She has never contacted me to apologize. Maybe because she knows that some things cannot be fixed with words. 6 months after his canceled wedding. He found out by chance through an acquaintance. Apparently, he has a pattern. When things get tough, he just moves on to the next person who was available. My parents and I have a cordial but distant relationship. They have never understood why I chose to distance myself after everything that happened. They think I held a grudge. They can't understand that it wasn't grudges. It was self-preservation. Janet is still my best friend and is now the godmother of David's daughter. She says I'm a completely different person than I was 2 years ago. Stronger, more aware of my limits, more willing to fight for what I deserve. "You've found your voice," she said yesterday during our Sunday lunch. Maybe she's right. Or maybe I've always had a voice, but I just needed to learn how to use it. I still think about that day in church sometimes. Not with anger, that phase is over. I think about it with a strange kind of gratitude. Sophia and Marcus did me a favor, even if they didn't mean to. They freed me from a life where I was constantly trying to be enough for people who never valued me. Today, I know that I don't need to be perfect to be loved. I don't need to be invisible to keep the peace. And I definitely don't need to accept crumbs from someone who should be offering me a banquet. They thought I was too weak to fight. They didn't realize I was too strong to fight for someone who didn't deserve me.
And perhaps this is the best revenge of all, living well, far from people who only know how to take, surrounded by those who know how to give. I didn't need to humiliate them. I just had to get up from the table where dessert was being served.